All right. I think we are live. Yes, we are live. Hello, everyone. I hope everybody can hear me. Make sure my mic is working. Yes, everything is working fine. So, what's going on, people? We are in, it seems like, the midst of
Breaking news, Nate. We're in the midst of breaking news.
Hold on. I got to turn my.
For once, the Cryon's actually correct. It really is breaking news.
Yes. We got Nicolas Maduro, essentially captured by the United States.
Yeah. I mean, kind of saw that coming over the past few weeks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, make sure I think something happened with my computer. Now my computer's acting up. There it is. All right. So now let me just go play to the screen, because soon as we go live, that's when I have technical issues. So here we go. Let's see. So for those of you who don't know, we had like a mini invasion, President of Venezuela captured. Here's ABC. They're going to break it down for us. And Trump, and we're going to go right into Trump explaining what happened.
Thank you for joining us here on ABC News Live. I'm Gio Benitez. Any moment now, President Trump will address the nation.
You got a few minutes. Do you want to slide
military strikes on
the bar? Maybe
early this morning, Trump announced that the U.S. carried out
was done in.
This is just
out of there.
So yes, so he's not there.
Explosions ringing out in Venezuela's capital city, beginning just before 2 a.m. local time, warned that land strikes were imminent.
We'll start that on land too. It's going to be starting on land pretty soon.
Saying in a recent interview with Politico that he wants to see Maduro gone.
So how far would you go to take Maduro out of office?
I don't want to say that, but
But you want to see him out?
his days are numbered.
Now, I do want to ask, though, first, hello, everybody in the chat. It's been a long time. I know I don't usually do live streams, but I thought we're on a Saturday. It's first day back, first couple of days.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, and it's like, all heck is breaking loose in the world. So it seems to be, it's a good thing happening. And obviously, I'm just recovering from brain surgery, so I'm about a month out of brain surgery. So that's also nice. And I'm here with Eric, so we're going to see. So, but my first question to you, Eric, is, what the hell's going on? Why is this even going on? Why are we in fucking Venezuela?
There's a lot of layers to Venezuela right now, and I can't say that I understand all of them. You could make the argument that Trump is bringing back the Monroe Doctrine and essentially saying, get the F out of our hemisphere, which Venezuela has been a cat's paw for not only Russia, but also China. I think about 90% of Venezuelan oil does go to China. Cuba is providing the security for Venezuela. How are they paying Cuba security? They're paying with oil. So that's kind of keeping Cuba afloat at this moment too. And there's other things going on in Venezuela too, like actual ISIS training camps. I don't know if you were aware of that.
No, I actually wasn't aware of the ISIS training camps, but I do know when it comes to what's it called? You said ISIS training camps. When it comes to the dictatorship, Maduro has lost two presidential elections back to back.
Right.
And those elections, and the person who won essentially became like the opposition leader.
Sure.
The first one was the first one was actually under Trump won, and Trump recognized the guy. And then the second one's a woman. Now, you gave a very interesting take earlier when we were speaking, how the person who won the Peace Prize, the Nobel Peace Prize, actually won it for Venezuela, for her fight in the dictatorship in Venezuela, and then said Trump should get the Peace Prize. And now he's blowing up Venezuela. So
well, and the argument is, and not just mine, I saw it elsewhere, it was a very savvy move on her part, because I mean, she could say, I dedicate this prize to Donald Trump. Okay, you could dedicate it to whomever, but she won this by trying to fix her country, by trying to run for office in her country. And who could actually technically step in and help her out or help Venezuela out but the U.S.? I think everyone would agree that Donald Trump has a little bit of an ego, and he really, really wants the Nobel Peace Prize. And we can argue all day whether he deserves it, not deserves it, things like that. But he has been working to try to get it. Think of how savvy it is on her part to dedicate this to him and keep Venezuela top of mind for Trump. So I think that actually helped this move forward, if you will.
Well, so what do you think about well, first, I want to say thank you, Stryker. I'm glad to see you're doing well. Yes, for those of you who don't know, if this is your first time, I had a massive brain tumor about a month ago. It was the size of, I would say, was it a golf ball, a tennis ball, 2 tennis balls, or two golf balls. Well, it was a huge freaking tumor. They cut it out, and it's taken me some time to recover. Then you'll notice, even during this conversation, I'm going to have like lapses of short-term memory. Sometimes I won't be able to find my words. It's just all part of the recovery process. It's going to take me about 6 months to a year to recover. So Eric is graciously decided to help me out with this live stream because I don't think I'd be able to do it alone because of the issues I'm having cognitively.
To be fair, all we're doing is the same thing we do many, many days. Not as much recently because Nate had this brain tumor problem, but we're just duplicating the phone calls that we have. Yes. Nate will call and we will chew. We spoke on the phone for 90 minutes before we came on here. So all this is that something that Nate and I do all the time. We boil the oceans and solve the world problems on the phone. So we're just doing it live on the live stream. So let us know if you like it, because this is a formula, if you will, of Nate and Eric, which is a channel that we were diligently trying to get back into.
Yes. Thank you. I'm good to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who's been, sending me well wishes and everything. I really, really appreciate it. So Trump and them are not there, but this is the woman, right? No, this is not the woman.
Yes, that's the Nobel Prize winner.
Let me turn on the
Maduro in the last election as the rightful president of Venezuela. She says, quote, "Today we are ready to take over power. We remain vigilant, active, and organized until a democratic transition is concrete, a transition that needs all of us." You've been following Maria Machado's journey for years now. What do you think hearing those comments here?
So, Jay, nice to be with you again. And just to clarify, I am not actually an expert on Venezuelan politics, but still, that said, with Maria Machado and her profile, the statement that she just made, very powerful. And one would have to assume that in making a statement that's sort of bold, that is that bold and declarative, suggests that there's probably been a good deal of planning already or coordination with the Trump administration to make sure that if a plan like that is being communicated, can Machado and the team around her working with.
Well, just so everybody understands what's going on. Maduro held power, and he did not want to give up that power. So they've had all these elections. He's lost every time. He got like a 20 or 15% popularity. It's all horrible. But in this particular instance, what they're talking about is it's obvious that by taking him out, it seems like they're trying to cut off the head and hope everybody else falls in place. But the vice president of Venezuela has already come out. That person's already taken power and has already come out and said, we want proof of life and all this other stuff. So there's a lot going on here. Now, is she going to be able to take power? Who knows? But right now, the vice president of the country seems to have this.
Yeah, I haven't had time to really look into it very deeply, but it appears that we sent in Delta Force and the military there, whomever it was, essentially were saying, he's over there. Did nothing. They were just like, yeah, well, he's over there. Go ahead and let us know what's going to happen.
But to be honest with you, it doesn't seem like they were saying he's over there. They went in and boom, 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 boom. we got to get him out. But now,
they've got to bang on the doors and knock him down and all that. But I'm just saying, we went in there with a force, and I don't think he was overly protected at that point. There were no U.S. casualties. There were questions about that, and that's where you and I are going back and forth about whether this is right. Like, I've been in a ton of trouble because I have been a little bit critical of blowing boats out of international waters.
Yes.
And taking a degree of heat from my audience.
But
I
I
don't really care for that.
but
Anyway.
I think two things can be different, right? Blowing up boats in Venice on the in international waters is different than going into a country, grabbing its president, and taking them back to the United States to be prosecuted. I think it's like I can feel the boat strikes wrong, but I think this has a lot more nuance to it, right? Because you do have somebody who's technically illegitimate as a president, but
Right. And this is the question, though. Like, there is quite literally a bounty on the guy, $50 million, I think now. It's been building over the years. I don't know where he stands in international law. That's a question. And the question, too, is, and we ran the we ran a scenario before. If, let's say, he was just a cartel leader, and, well, he practically is. But anyway, he was a cartel leader, but not technically acting as if he was the leader of a country, fewer people would have a problem with this, I have a feeling. But even then, that would still be going into somebody else's soil and extracting a person, through rendition. So the question is this: is he actually a world leader, or is he an occupying force?
Well, it seems like right now the two pieces is that this is an act of war. That's what it seems like. You have one side saying, right, going into if someone came into the United States and took Trump and his wife hostage, well, we consider that to be an act of war.
Of course.
And I would
any
say
country would.
So that, I think, is also the issue here, is that Venezuela can't mess with us, obviously, right? But is this too much? Now, the countries that have said that this is obviously too much is Russia, the whole socialist caveats, China,
right?
All those countries. But is there a moral problem with this? And I think you could make an argument that this is morally has an issue with this. But you thought differently earlier, right? You said it's morally ambiguity.
I have mixed feelings because, like I said, he is, could be seen as an occupying force because he's not, he's a dictator. He's not leaving. But I admit that there's a double standard and a hypocritical angle here. There are many dictators in the world right now who are doing really, really bad things that are people we don't give a shit. They don't have oil either. Happy coincidence between the two. So, I mean, we named off some of them. I think Liberia doesn't have a great time of it. We've got, on down the line, North Korea, obviously. And you know what? That would be a good question. If we went in and extracted Kim Jong-un from North Korea, how would people feel about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. And this is the problem I have, is like, if I'm going to go, in terms of the principle of this is a leader of a nation, you go into the nation, you're plucking leaders. That's a little bit uncomfortable in terms of a means test, as you like to say.
Yeah, I want to know why. Why did we need to go in and pull them out? Why was it so urgent? Why are we using? Because don't forget, Trump has put over before he got elected, we all were talking about the peace president. No, that was the big thing about the first one. No new foreign wars. We're going to stay out of this stuff. The America First crowd. Now it doesn't seem like we've hit Nigeria. We're bombing Iran. We're bombing Venezuela. It seems like we've gone totally 180. And I don't know if it's, I don't know what to think, because on one end, I understand why you're going to Venezuela, because most people don't know the migrant crisis that we have here in the United States that we had under Biden is essentially Venezuela. All those people,
Trinidad. I believe they have some proof that he was using Trinidad and MS-13 types for terroristic purposes. Like, it was borderline state funded. It reminds me of the Mariel boat lift I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, where they were sending all the people. They emptied out the jails and sent them all to the United States.
Right. And people want to point, he is very supportive of the cartels. A lot of fentanyl is going out of there because if I recall, China has been sending the fentanyl over, but they have to get it manufactured or finished on this side of the water. I'm not an expert on that, but I do believe a lot of the fentanyl is coming up from Venezuela. And again, there's ISIS terrorist camps. I mean, he's not a nice guy. And this is the problem. It's like, I don't really have much sympathy for him, but there's the very good counter argument of, okay, so are we going to do this in every freaking country in the world? I don't know. And it's also very raw.
What gives them the right?
Well,
right?
Might makes right. Okay, let's be honest. We're too damn powerful. What are you going to do about it? And I don't really.
The Russians. That's what Russia's saying in Ukraine, right? Russia's saying that in Ukraine. We're too powerful. What are you going to do about it, right?
Well, it is something. We're not going in to extract Putin. Yeah, why? No. Because that would be a problem.
Yeah. That would be a big problem. I don't know. It's. Don't get me wrong. I have no love for Maduro, right? But it just.
Well, and this is it. Kind of echoes Noriega.
Oh yeah. And for those of you who don't know, because you're going to hear the news, unprecedented. We've never done this before. This is insane stuff. We have. This is not unprecedented. We've gone into South America and removed leaders, state leaders before. Here, as a matter of fact, I'm going to keep this live so I can see it. So just in case Trump and them come live, but here's the recording from back in 1989 when the United States invaded Panama to get rid of what was his name again?
Noriega.
So let me share this.
On December 20th, 1989, a force of about 26,000 American soldiers invaded Panama in Operation Just Cause. General Manuel Noriega, who had ruled the country from 1983 to 1989, was removed from power, arrested, and brought to the United States for trial. Next, 7 minutes of video from the C-SPAN archives. First, the announcement of the operation by White House spokesman Marlin Fitzwater. Then President George H.W. Bush speaking from the Oval Office. And finally, some Pentagon video recorded in Panama during the invasion.
What a nice place.
So, a matter of fact, we got some action going on over here. Let's see. The Venezuelans is talking.
Oh, that's probably the acting president now, or
the action has been swift.
Okay, it's international reaction.
Moscow saying the U.S. action causes deep concern.
Of course it does.
Iran calling it a blatant violation of regional and international peace and security.
Of course it is.
America's allies have been more muted so far.
That's what I want to see. Is what?
Yeah, that's what's good to know.
The situation, and of course, all of this comes after months of attacks on alleged drug boats in the region, killing at least 121 people. At least 16 were killed in just the past week. This morning, the FAA is also declaring the airspace over Venezuela off limits to all commercial and private aircraft. So once again, as we're awaiting the president to come out and speak to the public, let's go ahead and check in with our.
Thank you so much.
Buc-ee's. Is that Buc-ee's?
Yes, Buc-ee's. That's Buc-ee's.
I know that you've been talking to your
yes,
sources.
Thank you so much.
I finally got to a Buc-ee's when I went down to see you.
Exactly, Whit. And a source tells ABC News that there had been a clandestine CIA team on the ground in Venezuela.
That's how they knew where he was.
It's a total CIA op. I mean, come on.
Following his pattern of life to figure out where he would go.
But I'm going to say this though.
Where he
when the U.S. government wants you, they're going to get you. It's no joke. They got a plan. It makes it happen.
True, but give me the over/under on the CIA being part of the drug funneling.
Going in, finding the couple and taking them out. The Delta Force team moving in. The president actually said earlier today to Fox News that the President Maduro had tried to make it to a safe room. He said that had steel doors. He said the team on the ground, the U.S. team on the ground, had blowtorches to blow apart those steel doors if necessary.
So they knew that. But that means they knew about the safe room.
Maduro did not make it to that safe room, nor his wife, and they were taken out. Again, as you said, though, there were injuries to U.S. forces. We don't know whether those were
so they were
military
injuries before
or
we didn't
law
know.
Okay.
enforcement, but he said they were able to make it out, and it appears they will be okay. He had also said that a U.S. helicopter had been hit, but was also able to make it out of the country. Presumably, all those forces are now out of Venezuela after that dramatic show of force and targeting those military installations inside Caracas. Quite a scene for the people of Venezuela. Of course, the big question, Whit, is what now? Who is in charge? Who is running that country? What is the military going to do? We have heard today from opposition leader Maria Machado, and she said that she hopes, she is calling on the military to recognize Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, who ran against Maduro. She is calling him the rightful president, but we'll see what happens next. And that is a big question for President Trump.
Yeah, big question. As we've learned in the past, toppling a regime is one thing, but the transition of power is another. And Machado there is also the Nobel Peace Prize winner of 2025. So that's what she's saying about what she hopes will happen in the future. We'll see if President Trump, other members of the cabinet add to that conversation as well in the coming moments here. Let's go ahead and check in with our Chief Justice Correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
While they have us waiting, I've been scrolling on Twitter. Let's look at the Twitter. So here's what's going on in Venezuela now.
I want to be cautious about that, though, because I remember in Iraq, all the celebrations and people running through the streets and toppling statues and all the love that was coming to us at the time. I want to give this a little bit of time before I decide, how it's going to go, because, okay, you got rid of this guy. What kind of seething creatures underneath him are there? Much like Iraq, getting rid of Saddam gave us ISIS. Boy, how did that work out? And I'm very concerned about the scenario. Again, I want to see how it shakes out. I want to see how other countries react. And I also wonder if some of this is downline to squeeze Russia a little bit to try to get them to come to the table with Ukraine.
You're throwing it on the wrench, but I want to say, Scooter, thank you so much, thank you. And I feel I look like crap because look at the,
look at that gray, look at the gray.
I'm all gray on one side, but thank you so much, And again, if I make mistakes, people forgive me because I'm suffering. My part of my brain has been removed and it's growing back. So please forgive me. But we're gonna be back on top pretty hopefully next couple of months. But thank you so much for the love and support, guys. I really appreciate it. I didn't expect to have 2,500 people here. I thought I was gonna have like maybe a couple of hundred, but thank you guys so much.
While you guys are here, hit the like, please.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely appreciate that. And link to Eric's channel too. One thing, so I know a lot of people, nobody's really talking about this as of right now, but so they just released the indictment for Maduro. And here are the charges that they're listing: narco-terrorism, cocaine transportation, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy and possession of machine guns and destructive devices.
Okay, now the last two are a little weird because I think anybody with a standing army would probably have machine guns.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? That's odd. I mean, seriously, that is odd. Because, Trump technically has machine guns and nuclear weapons and everything else.
Yes. And if any of you guys are on Twitter and want to want to say something or want to push something, or has something that you guys want to see.
Yeah, we're both on X.
Just let us know. I keep saying Twitter, but on X too, because we're looking through it. So here is some more reactions. My God, I adore you, Venezuela. Yeah, it was time. It was time for Maduro to go.
Well,
but
it's really precarious too because we're squeezing Iran right now. Remember, Trump just threatened Iran with boots on the ground yesterday. So it's kind of, I'm like, whew. So we've got all these players. So you've got Iran, of course, is saying, hey, this is BS. What are you doing? Venezuela, whoever's there, saying it. Russia's saying that. So I don't know, there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm truly nervous about how this shakes out.
What do you think this means for? Let me see. What do you? Here is Tucker.
Next week.
Tucker predicted
Not
this.
to be the bearer
Well,
of bad,
just so everybody understands, this is October 29th, and this is Tucker.
bad news, but it looks like we're about to embark on another regime change war like next week.
Well, actually, when Trump did that announcement, remember Trump had that press conference talking about his presidency. It was like a sort of a mini State of the Union in December.
Yeah.
He got everybody to tune in because Tucker and others were reporting that Trump was announcing a war with Venezuela that night.
Yeah.
That there's a U.S. naval armada. Venezuela, which is a large oil-rich country in South America, not too far from here, actually. And the stated purpose of this show of military force is to force the leader of that country, Nicolas Maduro, to leave. And the threat is, unless he leaves, vacates the premises, gives up his job, turns over the reins to the opposition party, splits Venezuela for good, the United States will go to war with Venezuela, invade it even.
You see, but that's a kind of an exaggeration.
Well, they did. They did.
I understand that, but this is where it gets really tricky because there's operational terms and things like that. I mean, we did go in, we did extract him, and we did leave. So if there is no U.S. presidents whatsoever, and at the time, it's an incursion.
Agreed.
I don't know, everybody get the dictionary out. We can argue on that, 1,000%, but at least we're not there.
Yes, at least we're not. You're right. But
that's a hard call. But it is still ugly. I'm not going to pretend and say this is a.
Is Tucker
the
American
optics are
first? Really... Because Tucker, I think, is a strict isolationist, right? I don't want to. No wars, no fighting, no.
No, Tucker's right? America only.
Yeah, America only. All right.
That's what I'm terming it.
But his critique is that this is regime change in Venezuela. Is he wrong? I don't think he is, because that's exactly
not technically. Technically, an election is a regime change, Nate.
Yeah, but in this particular context of we want to forcibly change the regime, just like we did in Iraq, just like we did in all these other places.
Mm-hmm.
That was always been the argument from Tucker and those anti-rhinos. In other words, saying, what is our right to go?
By the way, how is I love that when you say anti-rhinos, how can you call somebody a conservative a rhino? Like Ted Cruz, I would definitely not call a rhino. No. That is an insane term. Now, you could say that they're not MAGA, maybe they can go back and forth on it, but it is what it is. They're definitely not Republicans in name only. They're one branch of the Republicans.
Yeah. I would agree with that, but I'm calling them anti-rhinos because that's the slur that you kind of use for that side, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, right? Who kind of want to. Well, I think probably
they call them neocons.
A better term would probably be the neocons. But I would say in this particular situation, I think this is going to splinter the domestic conversation about. It's not about whether this was a good thing to do, but it's whether we should have done it. And I think Tucker's going to be making the argument from now on. We should not have done this, right? We should not have done this. That's at least that's what I expect.
Which is a valid argument. It is a hard call. I mean, I it's like that is an argument I think people can come to on principle. It is a principled argument. I can't say that there's no validity to it. Then we get into the question, of the end justifying the means and Machiavellian, or whatever. I don't know. And it is a tricky thing. And then there's also the stance, like I said, is he legitimately the leader of the country? Is he the leader or is he an occupier? If he's voted out multiple times and he refuses to release power, what is he?
I think he's the same as Putin, as the guy in North Korea, as the guy in all these dictatorships in Africa and South, just like it kind of is what it is,
Right. So and that's the question. And again, I'll recognize, what does North Korea have for us that we need?
Nothing.
Yeah, so we're not worried about that.
But they also have nuclear weapons too. We'd be worried about that too.
Well, of course, there's deeper consequences. So
yeah,
okay,
so
we'll say Liberia then. What does Liberia have that we want? Or
nothing, absolutely nothing.
Okay, Venezuela does have a lot of oil. They
have the let's not undersell it. They have the largest confirmed oil reserves on the planet. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about enough oil to make the United States self-sufficient for like the next 100 years, right? That's what.
And it's the good oil too. You want to break down what types of oil there are and why Venezuela oil is a little sweeter than Texas oil, or
yeah. So to explain what's happening with Venezuela and the oil piece of it, which you're probably not going to hear from the mainstream media, but there are essentially two types of oil, and I'm going to call them light and thick. One is predominantly, like, you'll see a lot of countries create this in the Middle East. It's a light version of crude oil. And then you have a more gelatinous version that has a lot more stuff in it, minerals and things of that nature. So I'm gonna call that like the thick oil. When the United States first started doing oil production here in the United States, we had the oil that they pulled out of the ground here in Texas and other places in the United States happened to be that thick gelatinous oil. So they built all of the oil refineries to process that type of oil.
Makes sense.
But we could not process the lighter oil that was coming from the Middle East. We could only process that kind of thick oil.
Mm-hmm.
So when they started, now most people here in the United States know about fracking, and we found a whole bunch of oil reserves fracking, but the fracking oil happened to be this light oil. So it's a very, very, very light oil. So we have all this oil that we could not refine in our own refineries because it wasn't the same type of oil. So that's why if you look at the United States, we send all the oil that we pull out of the ground, we send it overseas because their oil refineries can refine it. So the oil that we need to refine to be refined here is that thick oil. Guess who has it? Venezuela. Most of their oil is that thick oil that we could use. Now we could change over the process here, but it'll cost like billions and billions of dollars to change. So they're like, why not change it? We just ship the light oil out and get the heavy oil in. So the piece with Venezuela, everybody's saying, is that it just happens to be so good that the United States' oil refineries are tailor-made for Venezuelan oil. They found the most oil on the planet, and now all of a sudden, you're regime changing the guy who doesn't like you to the person who says, "I want her to get the Nobel Peace Prize," and then try to pretend like, "Hey, we had nothing. This is not about the oil." So that's the narrative being played out. I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that that's the case.
Well, I'm sure Trump will say something about the oil. I mean, one thing about it is he doesn't necessarily hide the ball all the time. He would say, "Oh, they've got oil. We like their oil." I would not be surprised at all if he doesn't say that.
Yeah, well, hold on. Let me see. I'm not saying somebody said that's not. No, I'm not saying that's how fracking. I'm talking about the quality of the stuff the quality of the oil that comes out. It's a version that we can't use, but we ship. And you can just Google it or whatever. You can see it. We ship most of the oil that's pulled out of the ground here. We ship overseas, and people are like, that doesn't make any sense. Why did you use it here? But that's the reason why we can't refine it here. So, and there's natural gas. Yeah, you find natural gas and fracking and stuff like that. But here in Texas, a lot of it is just from oil. Let me play this because it seems like Trump. What the hell happened with Trump? They're supposed to be at 11 o'clock, and we're like almost a half an hour in, and they haven't done anything.
No,
this is the program. So I found this clip, and I want to see what you guys think about it. So this is Ben Shapiro. This is Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson.
Oh, answering Tucker Carlson about Maduro being
So this is where I think the fight's going to be coming on the next week about this.
Tucker's made the point. I'm not going to here to be Tucker's defender, but he's made the point that Maduro is culturally conservative.
Who gives a shit? The guy's a communist dictator. Everyone in his country is eating dog. He's shipping fentanyl to the United States to kill Americans. Why do I give a shit whether he's anti-LGBTQ rights? This is the number one thing about Nicolas Maduro. You know how far down the list you have to get before you can get to anything remotely recommendable about Nicolas Maduro?
I did ask him yesterday about the criticism that he didn't give Nick Fuentes a hard time, right? He didn't bring up the stuff that we were talking about. No, he didn't. And here's what he said. It seemed to think that we've way overstated the number of Jews killed in the Holocaust. He's ripped on poor Usha Vance in the most offensive terms. Which I mean, so what do you say to those people? Say, why didn't you raise any of that?
You know, do your own interview the way that you want to do it. You're not my editor. Buzz off. I mean, I don't know. You want to go yell at Nick Fuentes? I'll give you his cell. Call him and go sit and yell at him and feel virtuous or whatever. That's up to you.
So I don't know. I think, unfortunately, this is going to be another split within, I think, the conservatives.
Well, I mean, yeah, Megyn Kelly's already picked up the nickname of Grandma Griper in some parts.
just to keep everybody up. So this is ABC News. This is a live feed. They're showing the explosions and everything. They are. We're just waiting for Trump and his team to come and explain what the hell happened last night, why. And so forth and so forth. So they should be out pretty soon. But everybody's waiting on the explanation, because that's kind of why it's kind of like, why the urgency, why now, and what are the repercussions of this? Let me read a couple of these super chats. God bless you, Nate's video. Thank you so much. Thank you. Rollins reviews misses you as I do. Oh, thank you. I'm back though. And hopefully I'll be back even more, even though it's going to take me a little time to get back into it.
It won't be consistent, folks. So just he'll come on and off. He has different energy levels on different days.
Maduro's sent with Biden's help 80,000 people, and then I think it's de Agua, but Tre de Agua, right?
Tren de Agua. It's hard to say. TDA.
Yes, to cause chaos. That's an act of war to me. We don't care about international law as Americans. I think we do in certain instances, but I think
that's the problem. Is we do have we cherry pick.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Nate, the Godfather of Law 2, have been following you.
Yeah, you've read this one.
Days. Yes. The Rittenhouse days were great. Oh, thanks, King Bucks. Thanks, and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody too, because I didn't say that. From a moral point of view, he was an illegitimate leader. Correct. The only angle that matters was practical. Will this detestable destabilize Venezuela, or will it give the people their country back? Now,
this is why we have to wait.
I would say this. Oh,
there he is.
So let's listen to that.
To Maduro, and here is President
Trump
from Mar-a-Lago.
Okay, thank you very much. This is big stuff.
You made us wait a long time.
We appreciate you being here. Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II.
It's always historic. It's always the biggest.
It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. all perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. It's Jay Clayton.
Same place you
for
were
their
indicted,
campaign
Trump.
of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position, but they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far, with capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper,
We're going to run the country?
Transition. So we don't want to be involved with.
Hold on. He just said we're going to run the country until.
That doesn't make sense.
It does make sense. We run shit until we turn it over to somebody else.
Right, but I thought we had nobody there. So how would we be doing that if his vice president is taken over?
Nah, he said we run shit until now. This kind of blows up your argument. Let's see what else he's going to say though because I want to jump to the conclusion. You know, he may say I made a mistake. Like
transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious.
Trump is a Trump.
That's regime change.
Yeah, that's it. There's no doubt about it now, right? No doubt about it. We run shit here in Venezuela, and that's for the Chinese and the Russians, right? Mm-hmm. We don't want nobody else getting inside there and fucking. We going.
Well, I understand it, but it's still.
It's regime change.
Yeah.
I'm like this guy. This guy is like, let's go. It's funny because that's how I feel. I'm like, yeah. messing with us. But morally and ethically, I think this is wrong. I know people are going to be like, "Oh, Nate, you TDS is still." I just think I can't. I'm happy with the result, but
well, I hope that Machado is installed and we clear out, or whoever won. If she won the election and we just say, "Okay, here you go, here's the keys," but it is interesting.
Transition, and it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place.
So what do we? So,
as everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping.
Well, there we go. We'll get that oil going.
We're going to have
pump that oil out.
Very large United States oil companies.
Hey, somebody check Chevron stock today, please.
Go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country.
Yes.
And we are,
I think that's where we're going.
Ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not.
That's the threat.
The first wave, if you'd like to call it that. The first attack was
plan
so
on a second one, but we're
probably
gonna
don't have to
hold
do a
back.
second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking.
I'm just stopping it here.
This is such a confusing comment.
I understand it. Morally and ethically, no more overdose, because he's saying Americans are overdosing on the drugs.
I got that.
And he's saying if it's not inconsistent, because he's right. I am making the argument that Trump is being inconsistent with, and he's making the argument that it is consistent because this is not a senseless issue. This is something that, so I don't agree with the pushback, but I understand it, if you know what I mean. But what you were saying, sorry.
No, I was saying that is a confusing statement in the sense of the war and the other. Let's be honest. Does that mean there's going to be no fentanyl overdoses? I mean, do we really think that they're going to suddenly stop? Now, I hope they are lessened, but I think we have a demand issue as well as a supply issue. I think there are people out there who are trying to get fentanyl and getting fentanyl, and there still will be deaths. I think that Venezuela, for example, you can't say cocaine's not a problem. Is this stop cocaine? No. Stop crack? No. So,
listen, Eric, you know what you're saying. This is about the oil.
Of course, it's about the oil.
Let's not.
What is he saying? Did he not? Did I not predict that he would say about the oil pumping? Did I not predict that?
Let me look. I'm going to go full screen so people understand, because people are going to say I'm not clear. This is not about drugs. Drugs were the pretext.
Oh, no, drugs too. I think it is nice.
We are taking over Venezuela, as Trump just said, and we are taking it over to install U.S. companies to pump the oil out at record rates. That's what he just said.
Yes.
So I'm taking him at his word. Let me.
And again, did I not predict he would say it?
Yes. I just don't want any confusion, because I know people are going to be upset at that. But that's what he's just said. So we now run Venezuela. Period.
Colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, many Americans. Hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made.
So on a ship.
New York, yeah.
Why didn't they just fly him in?
Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over.
It's interesting he didn't lead with this, though,
They
Nate.
cut the fingers off people if they call police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives, they walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military, and I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%.
I want to point out, I believe Memphis asked us to go in there.
Great.
Yeah, they did.
Person.
And that I support if they ask for it.
In a certain very nice part of Louisiana. And we have done that. It was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know, You'll know. You'll be writing about it.
Yeah.
And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess.
He can sprawl in his speeches, can't he?
But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people. And now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst, they say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals.
That poll's
They
50-50, buddy.
I know. It's interesting.
Left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails.
It's like the Mariel.
The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons.
That's what he's doing under Biden. And he's right. Trump is right about
this. A
this.
little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead,
I would love to look at his notes and outline because he's all over the map. I mean,
we built Venezuela oil industry
selling
with
now.
American
He's selling.
talent drive.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just like,
and
do you have this written out, or you just
stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, and we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. They used those weapons last night, potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries, and not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines.
What did I say earlier?
Monroe Doctrine.
A big deal. But we've superseded it by a...
I will say this. For all the people in the chat who said Monroe Doctrine, who said oil, who said all this, it seems like you guys already knew what he was going to say. So I got to give Eric credit because he did mention oil, Monroe Doctrine. Only thing he messed up on is taking it over. But he's taking over. We run Venezuela.
Wow.
Yeah, we took over.
A lot. By a real lot. They now call it the Monroe document. I don't know.
Monroe? Oh my God.
Monroe
Did you hear
doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere
What the hell?
will never be questioned again.
No, it won't
happen.
But it's never questioned.
So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way.
Oh, yeah.
In our home region. And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core.
Dare I
to
say land the plane?
National security.
Land the plane, Trump.
Just
Land
like
the plane,
tariffs,
please.
He's selling.
They've made our country rich.
I'm not questioning.
And they've
He's
made
selling
our
it.
national
And he knows
security
strong,
stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power. And we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders. We will stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just, fair, even to their people.
If they don't do what we say, that's what he's saying.
Maduro is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation. This morning, it's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words.
Oh, God.
Thank you very much.
He calls it an attack on sovereignty.
Explain how the U.S. will run Venezuela?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. And as the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such a man. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America. And again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve, the most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime.
I just got to ask, how is this different than Ukraine and Russia?
How do you mean?
In terms of we go inside, regime change, and now we're taking over. We're going to get all the oils and mineral rights and have our people take it on. That's essentially what Russia's trying to do in Ukraine, especially with the Donbass region, right? That's where most of the oil is. So, I'm trying to understand the.
Well, we're early in the
justification. Well, you've kind of laid it out, like with these regime change, attack on their sovereignty. We're not leaving. If they don't do what we say they're going to do, they got issues, right? We run shit until we feel like we can turn it over to somebody. I think he's being pretty. Trump usually isn't clear. He's extremely clear now. We run shit. We're taking all the oil,
me.
And you ain't got and there's nothing you can do about it. Matter of fact, if you try to do something about it, wow, we're going to be on your ass. Is my paraphrasing what he's saying out of bounds? Is it unreasonable?
I don't know. I mean, I'm already flabbergasted. One, the order of his speech is very interesting. He didn't lead with Tren de Agua. He led with, look at all the oil we're pumping.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was very interesting, and I think very
production is low. We're going to ramp up their production.
Right. They were barely drilling. Now they're going to drill. We're going to make them rich. All this bit. And then, by the way, they were really bad people he was sending up. It's just interesting order.
Yeah, some people are saying the turnover is going to be swift, but that's what we said about Iraq. That's what we said
I
about Afghanistan. Right? 10 years, 20 years, and then that was like, what's quick in this?
Well, that's part of the reason I said I really feel it's irresponsible to make a full-blown judgment. I really want to see what this looks like a month from now, 2 months from now, etc. Because the people are dancing in the streets. Yay. I mean, that's nice. But people were dancing in the streets in Iraq as well, and toppling statues. And then as time went on, they weren't dancing anymore. There were more and more problems. So I don't know if this is a really rapid transition and we're out of there. Maybe it's a very difficult one, because being intellectually honest about regime change, not regime change, it's kind of difficult to just get behind everything.
Just so we're very clear, this is regime change. This is us running Venezuela. This is what they call a decapitation, right? Cut off the head, replace it with the proxy, and then let them figure out who they want to run it, and then we're going to run. So that's essentially what we've done. We've done a decapitation of Venezuela. Now, where do we go from here? Let me see. Head's sake, I'm not sure he's even going to say anything.
Is America first. This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026. And under President Trump, America is back. I'd like to welcome now our chairman, Chairman Raising Cane, to give a few more details about the operation. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President.
This guy's Raising Cane. He looks like the most mild-mannered guy on the planet, doesn't he? You expect some sort of Patton type figure with that name.
As the president said, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice 2 indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro. This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd, and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations. While the past 2 decades have honed the skills of our special operations forces, this particular mission required every component of our joint force with soldiers, sailors.
Let me do this. I'm going to switch because they just talking about operational stuff. But here is what's happening in Venezuela now, which is insane. There's over 1 million people who came out to the streets. He was very unpopular, obviously. But look at all those people. That's crazy. They're happy to see this guy go. Which he was a ruthless dictator,
Marines,
but
and Guardians working in unison with our intelligence agency partners and law enforcement teammates in an unprecedented operation. We leveraged our unmatched intelligence capabilities and our years of hunting terrorists, and we could not have done this mission.
Hey, she's looking for work.
Work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and NGA. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise, it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose, to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled.
This shows they've been planning this regime change
from
all of this time.
December,
Probably since before he got into office.
Pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel. So as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings. But when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern time last night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49. And there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water.
It's interesting how
As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level,
I'm going to fast forward because it seems like. Let's go. Let's listen to what Ruben.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And yeah, exactly. But
don't let anybody claim it.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States. And the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy. But instead, he wanted to play big boy. And so now, he's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think that the message here should be for the world. Look, the president doesn't go out looking for people to pick fights with. He's not generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll talk and meet with anybody, but don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that, I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
Much stronger than any of them. That was the strongest presentation yet.
I think, Rubio. But Rubio's good. Rubio's always good.
Venezuela. So who's in power
So here it is.
now?
Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly.
We're taking over.
They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but that's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have.
Does this make Trump a neocon?
Properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken
No, I'm asking
care
you
of.
straight up.
We're going to make sure
It could be seen. I mean, it is
bullshit.
The speeches that have been given. I think it was Hegseth who gave a laundry list of operations. It sounded very jingoistic. It really did. I was thinking as they were laying out the laundry list of Iran and then this and the Juman's, I forgot who it was. It I'm going, oh yeah, I'm sure that the anti-war crowd, you just gave them their list.
But the crazy part about it, this is what Tucker says. This is what all those anti-neocons always say. Don't do this. Don't do this. We don't want no regime change. And every single thing we don't want to do it for, but in every single point that concerned them, he has just crossed. Regime change, forcible regime change, taking over the country. We're going to run it. We're going to put our own people in there. We're going to take it over, take all the oil. I don't see how you get around that label.
Well, he didn't annex it yet.
All right, I'll say this. You're right. Formally didn't annex it. Who runs Venezuela as of right now?
That startled me. I really thought we went and pulled out and it was whoever was there. I did not know, and I would be curious. You know, it's like he's describing. He's saying there's a committee or something. It's like, are they there?
You're not answering the question. Who runs Venezuela as of this moment in time? My answer is it's the United States of America, and that man on screen is the one calling the shots.
Okay, fair enough. I was talking about the actual operative management of the country or whatever. I'm confused as to what is going on. And no, it's not Netanyahu. Good God, people. I mean, yeah. I'm sure that Netanyahu is not running Venezuela.
By this thug are also taken care of.
Mr. President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, you know, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that
I agree with
could
no
have gone
pants.
very,
Marco
very badly.
probably
could have
is.
gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of.
It sounds like Iraq, dude.
It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. You know, they stole our...
We were running Iraq,
built
remember?
that whole industry there.
Oh, dude, your poll, 50-50.
And they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, why are you explaining the exact mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official to coordinate?
It's all being done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
You mentioned that would run Venezuela.
Well, it's largely going to be for a period of time.
Shadow group,
people that are standing
council
right
that
me.
Come on, man. This is all. This really is on the borderline of
dictatorship here. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're
very, very close.
The hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world.
This is a day after his truth to Iran, by the way.
Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there.
And he just said boots on the ground. We're not afraid of it. I'm just like,
take over for Maduro. So you can look at and others. We have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
And we're going to take money back from them and
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship?
There is no vice
She
president.
was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. He just had a conversation with her. And
Marco's running this, I
to
think.
do what
Yeah, of course.
we think is
Marco's the most
necessary to
competent person
make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today, he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So, just what your message is
Well,
about
he
that.
has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Mr. President, did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved.
Make Venezuela great again, huh?
Immediately after this was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
Plus, if I could add one thing to that, Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point, We had a lot of ships out there. They sort of knew we were coming. We went there. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
President, you were one of the only people to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when the U.S. forces entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. The safe place is all steel.
Safe house. Yeah.
And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. People were wondering, do we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of it today. But he was trying to get to a safe place, which wasn't safe because we would have had the door blown up in about 47 seconds, they say.
Well, I want to stop. It says Donald Trump is not a neocon. Stop it. Well, what would you consider a neocon? Someone who goes into a country, decapitates the leadership, takes it over, and pumps and says they're going to pump as much oil out as possible and give it to American companies. Yeah. Maybe I don't think Jack understands what neocon is. So maybe you're not understanding the words, or maybe English is a second language or something. But yeah, that's exactly what neocons do. I'm sorry, my friend.
On average, regardless of how thick the steel was, it was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it.
No, they're still going to be.
Where is Maduro going to be in the time being right now?
Majority of fentanyl comes from China. This is not going to stop anything. There's still going to be hundreds of thousands of deaths. This is. I understand.
That's going to be up to the officials that do.
I understand people wanting this to be true. Like, since we stopped him, no. Those drugs are still going to flow. They're just going to have a different route. It's all this. Return property from American oil companies only in America. That would be. Listen. We can say, and I agree with the celebrations. I agree with getting rid of the dictator, but let's just, I don't think this changes anything on the drug game because there's so many other countries doing it. If this was if you go, China is the one supplying most of the fentanyl. So I don't get it.
These things.
Mr. President, the U.S. has something of a mixed track record of ousting dictators without necessarily a plan for what comes afterwards. Did that weigh on your decision?
Well, that's when we had different presidents, but with me, that's not true. With me, we've had a perfect track record of winning. We win a lot, and we win. If you look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, you look at the Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was incredible. Right now, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. We have essentially peace in the Middle East because of that. If we weren't successful with Midnight Hammer, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. So with me, you've had a lot of victory. You've had only victories. You've had no losses. Yeah.
President, can you? How long do you expect the U.S. to run Venezuela, and how soon do you want Venezuelan people to hold elections?
So I'd like to do it quickly, but it takes a period of time. We're rebuilding. We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure. The infrastructure is rotted. it's actually very dangerous. It's
Oh, good that there's no infrastructure here that needs to be
dangerous.
rebuilt.
It's a very dangerous thing to take out of
No,
the ground.
we're gonna go pay billions of
Can
dollars to
kill a
save the
lot of people.
Venezuelans.
It has killed a lot of people doing just that. The infrastructure is old. It's rotted. Much of it is stuff that we put there 25 years ago, and we're going to be replacing it. And we're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country. Yeah.
Are you saying that Secretary Rubio and Mr. President, China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela? How does this operation affect your relationships?
That's very much a factor.
China and Russia. Well, Russia when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it to them. In other words, we'll be selling oil probably in much larger doses because they couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad.
Taking
So
the
we'll
oil
be
and going
selling
out
large
and
amounts of
flipping
oil
and selling
to
once.
other countries, many of whom are using it now. But I would say many more will come.
See, there's other levels to this, Nate,
Are you saying
that
that?
I'm wondering about.
What is your message to the people of Venezuela today? Of course, the civilian population specifically, they have a lot of questions. What is your message to the people of
That
Venezuela?
you're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have some of the riches that you should have had for a long period of time. It was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a real country. You're going to have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, that was a great country and they destroyed it. Remember I said that if we lose this election, the United States will be Venezuela on steroids. That's what would have happened. Had we lost the election, the 2024 election, we suffered so badly. When you look at the border from 2020, what they did, what Joe Biden administration did to our country should never be forgotten.
I agree.
But if we had to go through another year of
good
that,
point.
we would be exactly where Venezuela was in terms. I used to say, if they win, we're going to be Venezuela on steroids, and that's what would have happened.
I don't know if it'll be
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military
They're going
troops
to be
to
a
provide?
team that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro. And right now she's the vice president and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, let it go to hell. If we just left, it has zero chance of ever coming back. We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough. The people that got thrown out of Venezuela that are now in the United States, and frankly, some want to stay and some probably want to go back. Yeah.
What has been done to protect Americans in the country, and were any of the detained Americans?
Well, right now they're very protected because.
Let me answer because I'm reading the chat and Nate, stop. This was a threat to the U.S. It had Russia and China backing them. What threat was there to the U.S.? I don't know, because there are many, many other countries that send more drugs to the U.S. than Venezuela. So I don't know what you're talking about. This was not an immediate threat. If you really want to talk about threat, you would go
the
Colombia,
ISIS training camps
China,
were kind of a threat. So there's a little bit of it. I do
they
think
have those in
China
Nigeria. They have those in Sudan. They have those in.
This is true, but that's not our hemisphere. So there is that.
So because they have ISIS training camps, we decap. I don't know.
I'm not saying that's 100%. I'm just saying don't overlook there are other factors too. And I think a lot of this is China. I hate to say it, but now China depends a lot on Venezuelan oil. And if we're controlling China's oil now, this is a negotiation tactic in a back door as well. I just don't know how it'll all shake down, but it is a very real consideration because China and us are in a Cold War.
I do like what he says though. I'm tired of being the world's protectors and not and not being compensated for it. Agreed. But I think this has been exposed for what it is. This is the decapitation, takeover, and then changing up. Trump is saying we're going to put billions of dollars into Venezuela and get billions of dollars of oil out. That's essentially what we're talking about here. This is not about threat. He's mentioned drugs a couple of times and blah, blah, blah. But after that, we're talking about infrastructure. We're talking about, so you know, that may be part of the reason, the proxy in getting in. But right now we control it for the oil and he's not leaving. And let's just be honest. If Venezuela didn't have these oil reserves, would we be talking like this? Would this even be a conversation? I don't think so. And this one, this is going to split MAGA again. Of course, I don't see how this helps us. If Trump is impeached after the midterms, Venezuela condemned to it. This is going to break because you're going to have. I know what Tucker's going to say. We all know what half is going to say. If Venezuela belongs to us now, Kendra, he's avoided with. Oh my God. Yeah, but Venezuela's us now. They belong to us.
Us. They're very protected. The people of, and we let them know that you better not touch one of them.
Are you concerned that bad elements of the Maduro regime will remain in place?
Well, we know who they are. We're on them, and they're acting much differently now than they would have acted 2 days ago. Okay, wait, behind you, please.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world. And we want to make sure we can protect it. Yes, sir. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, is there a message here for Cuba and Diaz-Canel?
Well, Cuba is an interesting case. Cuba is, not doing very well right now. That system is not
Cuba.
been
I
a
think
very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years, and I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about because Cuba is a failing nation right now, very badly failing nation, and we want to help the people. It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to also help the people that were forced out of Cuba and living in this country. Do you want to say something about that, Marco, please?
Well, I mean, I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about, when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile, but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, they were, all of the guards that helped protect Maduro, this is well known, the whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, they basically, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba. They tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit.
There's a lot of threats being thrown out here, brother.
The president already announced
a lot of threats.
That's sanctioned. It's sanctioned oil. It's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's a pre-existing.
Mr. President,
there's a lot of threats out here.
The answer is yes.
There you go, John Wolf. You're right, dead on. But never mind Haiti.
Opposition leader Machado, and have you been in contact with her?
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Mr. President,
this is a resource grab.
Mr. President, on Monday,
Haiti's totally failed.
For her to be the leader, she doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect to be the
Mr. President, is it possible that the U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years?
Well, it won't cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial. So
the
it's
transaction.
Not cost us anything.
We could be there for years. It won't cost us anything.
We want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world. That's what was happening, and you don't want to have.
You break it, you buy it.
But we're going to be rebuilding, and we're not spending money. The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries, and we also have to have energy. Very important. We have to have energy that's real energy, not where they're getting 4% and 5% of the energy out of the ground. You take a look, it was such a disaster. So what's going to happen with Venezuela, I think, over the next period of a year is going to be a great thing. And the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
Mr. President, U.S. military.
Mr. President, thank you. What did you last speak to Maduro about when you spoke? And is the
Well,
US
I don't want to
at
get
war
into
with
the
Venezuela?
conversations, but I did have conversations with him, and I said, you got to surrender. And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but now he wished he did, yeah.
Can you explain, you said that Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras.
That's a good question.
Convicted of many drug trafficking. Can you explain how these two situations are
Well,
different? And would you ever pardon Maduro?
I endorsed, as you know, the winning president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. What the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did.
But
And
was he
one of the
dealing the
reasons
drugs?
That was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then
Just so we're all clear, he was convicted in courts for drug trafficking and all that stuff, and was doing a U.S. prison term. That's why Trump pardoned him. So on one end, that's what they're saying. You just pardoned the leader of a country who was drug trafficking, who was killing Americans. And now we're overthrowing a country for this guy doing the same thing. So Trump explaining the distinction between the two.
I studied it in great detail. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. That's why I gave him a pardon.
By who? Us?
You
Yeah.
referenced boots on the
you don't want
ground
to put him in
earlier.
jail.
Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that
Well,
country?
no, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country. So I want to thank you all very much. Thank you. Do you have one? Yes, please. You were so nice.
Last
before. I'm gonna give
question.
you the final question.
There it
Thank
is.
you,
Last
Unless it's a
question.
bad question, in
It's
which
about
case I'll
Putin.
go one word. It's about who?
It's about Putin, if you want.
About Putin.
Okay.
Well, that's always nice.
You had a phone-
About Putin.
You had a phone call with him on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't.
And
We
then-
never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this
I'm not
intelligence.
thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's
But then,
killing
he
too
can't
many
do it.
people.
It was that
I
intelligence.
thought that would be so. I settled 8 1/4 war. You know what the 1/4
Chief
was?
states, yeah.
Thailand and Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out, and I did it in about 5 hours, and I settled it. I'm giving myself 1/4, so I'm up to now 8 1/4. In other words, I settled the war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace.
It's math.
So I only give 1/4. I thought the easiest one would be, one of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine.
It's the last question, guys,
It's
so we
not.
can all
And,
understand.
they both have done some pretty bad things. And look, that's Biden's war. That's not my war.
Russia,
But I wanna
Ukraine is an
stop the
embarrassment for him
Did you
because he did
see
say
where
day one.
last
I know.
month,
Yeah.
30,000.
He's
this
frustrated
last-
about that.
It was 27.
I understand why not.
27,000 the month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000. I want to stop that. You know, I got NATO to pay 5% instead of the 2% that they weren't paying. They weren't paying 2, now they pay 5.
Oh.
And we send them a lot of munitions. We send them a lot of things, missiles and various other things, a lot. And they pay. The United States is not losing money. We're probably making money on that.
Yeah.
It's the last thing I care about. I just want to stop all those
Selling
people.
weapons.
We're losing 25, 30,000 human beings that come from 2 places that are very far away. But if I can stop, because it's something I've been pretty good at doing, deals, I guess. It's all a deal. Life is a big deal. But if I can stop that war and stop 30,000 young
The
people,
war is a
in addition
negotiation.
to the fact that people are being killed in Kiev, people are being killed in other cities throughout, a much smaller number, but they're being killed, viciously killed. So I'm not happy about it. I thought that would be something that would get solved. We have Mr. Witkoff here. I think that we're making progress, but that's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, Putin says it, everybody says it. If I were president, that would have never happened. But I inherited that war. That was Joe Biden,
No.
Zelensky, and Putin. I came into the situation, and it's a mess. And I will say this, I watched an operation last night that was so precise, that was so brilliant. I mean, it was incredible. If we had our people, like this general and our people involved, that war would not have gone on very long, that I can tell you. That war, to use an old term, that war has become a bloodbath, and we want it to get stopped. Thank you very much.
All right, so that's it for that.
All right.
So talk to me. Is this your first impressions? We just heard it. The first impressions.
I don't know.
We just heard it.
We broke it. We bought it. I have. I don't know. I mean, I'm very uncomfortable about this. A lot of the rhetoric is not that different than when we invaded Iraq, in my opinion. We talked about all the oil reserves and how we were going to free it up and how it was going to pay for this. I mean, am I misremembering that? Because I swear that, all their resources were going to help and be available. And I don't know.
I love you too, bro. All right, so let's take this from the drug angle first, so everybody understands. So I've just went to check out, where does the majority of the illicit drugs come from that come to the United States? Roughly put, heroin, 90% of it comes from Mexico. That's the primary source. So that's heroin. Cocaine, 90 to 93% originates in Colombia,
Bolivia,
it says those are the other 7%, and that the transit is through Mexico. So Colombia ships to Mexico, and then Mexico brings it over. Methamphetamines, the number one country is Mexico. Fentanyl, the precursors are number one, China, number two, Mexico. And then, like wheat and all that stuff is domestic and all that stuff. So in terms of Venezuela, in terms of illegal drugs, or them being this illegal drug manufacturer, would account to, and again, this is being generous, to about 6 to 10%. 6 to 10%. And that's being overly generous. So he's now decapitated because of drugs for 6%. I don't know. I think people think that there's this, that now that he's taken over Venezuela, that's going to kind of solve a lot of the drug problems and stop a lot of the deaths. Based on these numbers, he should have taken over Mexico, and that would have made a really big difference. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think he's actually done more to fight drugs by securing the border than technically Venezuela, because yes, a lot of it does come from Mexico, the vast majority, and the border is a lot better than under Biden. I think we'd all agree, right?
Yes, of course.
The porous border is probably helping more with the drug infusion, because even the Venezuelan drugs, if I recall, most of the drugs from Venezuela are also coming through Mexico.
Yes. So everybody ships to Mexico because it's getting it over through the border. And Canada too. But I don't know.
Yeah, Canada's got a piece.
I right now I'm trying to, because I'm torn between this, because number one, ethically, I think this is a horrible situation. I think it's, if you just put it plainly, just for all to see, this is what it is. It's And I know it's going to make people upset, but this seems to me to just be a resource grab, right? We got a pretext. We've been planning this for weeks. We've been blowing up boats. We told them, hey, we're coming. You're coming. Now, if what you said when we were talking earlier, if that was accurate in terms of they go in, they decapitate, and then they put the person who won the Nobel Peace Prize in, and then we're good. And we're not talking about taking oil and stuff. I'm with that. I'm like, all right, that's a better outcome. We had to do some nastiness to get it, but we get that. But now that's not what he's saying. He's saying we
in essence annexed it without annexing it, or we've seized it. We started with oil tankers. Now we took the whole country.
Yes, and now we're not saying we're going to turn. We're doing a transition of power to them. This is a transition of power with conditions. Condition 1. We're going to pump oil. Condition 2, we're going to rebuild your conditions. Like there are conditions here. And
the one difference I hope with Iraq, because I did bring up Iraq, is one thing we did absolutely stupidly in Iraq is we would not let anybody in the Baathists, I think it was the Baathist party or something like that. We kicked them all out. And since, it was Saddam's people, they literally ran every electrical plant, everybody down the line. It looks like we're treating this more like what we did in Japan when we rebuilt. We kept the emperor in place and we let them run it. It was, with us kind of overseeing it. I don't know if that's it, but that is kind of what he was saying. He said the vice president has agreed she's going to do whatever we want. Doesn't really have a choice. So it's mildly better, but the whole premise is pretty ugly.
I think a lot of people don't want to be confronted with the reality of this. And I think the reality is that just believe what he's saying. Just believe what Trump is saying. It's not like he's saying I'm not saying something that Trump hasn't just said. Trump has said we're going to put money to rebuild. We're going to get the oil out. If they don't do what we want them to do, it's not going to happen. She has no power. I don't know. And you know what? I think this would be the question to all the people in the chat who thinks this is something. Here's my question. Put a 1. I'm not even going to put a poll up. Put a 1 in the chat if you think the United States, as of this moment right now, runs Venezuela. And put a 2 if you think that we do not run Venezuela. Because as of this moment, I believe the United States is in total control of that country.
Oh yeah.
And if you believe that the United States is in total control of Venezuela, what do we call that?
Oh, I'm seeing some 2s in there. I have a bad feeling of who the 2s are saying is. You know what? Start typing then. If United, never mind the 1s and the 2s. If the United States is not in charge of Venezuela, go ahead and type who you think it is. I have a feeling I know what it's going to be.
In Yahoo, you want to take over Mexico?
Yes.
They're too afraid of the post take over Mexico. Yes. If you look at the sailing routes from China to Venezuela, it goes to Venezuela.
There it is.
Panama. All right. So take over China. That's not going to happen because that's what the problem is. Because don't forget, if China just won't send it to Venezuela. Just send it to Mexico. Why we send it to Venezuela? This is about stealing oil from a country that can't fight back. I don't know. I am not happy with this. I think this is, but I'm happy for the people of Venezuela. It's a couple of emotions here. I'm very happy for the people of Venezuela. They needed this brutal dictator doing all this bad stuff. Yes, I'm glad for them, but I am not. The means in which it happened, I think, is wrong. Someone said, Nate, you are dead wrong. You should interview Venezuelan people or at least someone from South America, and you'll know the truth about the issue. My 2 cents. I don't know what am I dead wrong about.
Right, and which people, and because we could probably interview some Maduro's friends, and they would be very against it, then there will be people who are for it. And that is there is a valid point that I don't live in Venezuela personally, and I'm not looking at what's going on there from there. I'm everything that I know is being fed to me by the administration, by the mainstream media, or other means. So we always are going to have a blind spot if we're not there.
And there are a lot of people talking about the celebrations, like people are celebrating in the streets, blah blah blah, that type of thing. And I'll say this: when Trump lost to Biden, people were celebrating in the streets.
Good point.
Right. So what does that mean? Like, oh, it's great. Yeah. So
well, people are celebrating when Saddam fell. I mean,
So before Trump lost the election, someone would have came and kidnapped him, and people would have. And let's be fair, if that happened to Trump, people would have been celebrating here in the United States. There was a couple of people that have, but there'd have been people happy. Yeah, get him out of there, that type of thing. So I just think I'm going to say this. I believe Trump when he says we're taking it over. We're going to pump out as much oil as possible. We're going to get rich, and then we'll turn it over when we feel like it. That's essentially what he said. Am I overstating it, or
no? It's I did say he was going to take credit and he was going to talk oil. I didn't expect him to say that. Yeah, we're going to run the place. Which, by the way, he also said he was going to run Gaza at one point, and a lot of this stuff too. And it's really, there's more to it than just Venezuela. Some of this is, I believe, is optics. Like, again, he put the truth out to Iran that they're ready to invade if they're, shooting the protesters or whatever. This is a signal to Iran too. This is a signal to a lot of people. I mean,
Iran, Cuba, they said it. Mm-hmm. Iran should be worried. Cuba should be worried. Colombia, we may have a
really should be worried. Colombia especially, and Marco, was delivering some clear messages. By the way, the best presenter of the lot.
Oh yeah, Rubio is probably going to be present.
I mean, his very short list when he started off saying, he lost the election. He had this warning.
Oh, no, he's good.
He should have just started with that. I mean, that was the strongest arguments of all of them. Trump was very meandering. Is all over. It's going to be great. It's this. It's the most beautiful thing. The best tech. Typical. Trump.
I like Trump because I think he was honest. This guy says Trump. I mean, Nate the lawyer. What's your solution? Seriously, let a dictator actively supported drug trades. Yes, it's happening all over the world right now. There are a whole bunch of countries who support the drug trade, like China. Like China. There's North Korea. I'm talking about, we have countries all over the world who have larger shares of the drug trade than Venezuela. Huge. So yes. So what's my solution? It's either we go in and take them all out, right? We go into all these countries and take them all out, or we don't, or we selectively choose who we take out. And we've now selectively chosen to take out this guy who happens to be sitting on the largest reserves of oil in the world, one of the richest resources on the planet. And I'm not supposed to think that's why aren't we in Libya? Why aren't we in the Sudan? Why aren't we in all these other places who support the drug trade?
And that is the good reversal of the question is, okay, well, what if we take him out, and if that is the pretense and we're saying he cannot exist because he's a drug running dictator, then, well, are we going to take out Mexico, Colombia, and every other country in the world?
Yeah. Yes. This person says stealing oil. They kicked us out, kept our equipment, made billions of dollars. Yes. So this is an appropriate response for that. Okay. I just disagree. I think this is, and don't forget, we stole that equipment years ago, about 20, 30 years ago. So I think you're making this is almost an argument for reparations, right? Because that happened under Chavez, the stealing of equipment and
which, by the way, was him too.
Yeah, well, he was Chavez.
He was part of the administration. This is a continuation of that. That is a fair statement to consider.
Yeah,
Maduro is Chavez.
So essentially, we're talking about reparations for the oil companies,
or a very long-winded or long response. I mean,
that's
Colombia next, free my homeland. Okay.
Yes, Colombia's next. Marco talks like Pacino in The Godfather. He does. Maduro really messed up by not getting involved by not getting involved in the drug trade. He could have gotten a part of. That's true, right? This is a lot more than just oil. There are some underlying things we haven't yet. The oil is just the app. The majority of the press conference was about the oil.
Right.
Was about justifying the oil.
I do think though that it is part of there is more to it, like to affect China, to affect Russia. Like if Russia has a dependency on some of the oil or needs some of it, maybe it'll bring him to the negotiating table quicker with Ukraine. It could be deeper than the oil, but oil is definitely a factor. And even in these other cases, it's still oil.
Yes. Like this person's saying, there's some. Yes, I read that. I'm sorry. This other person's saying, now that the largest oil will be distributed amongst the world. While I disagree with OPEC, the big oil, big pharma, the world needs that supply. So I'm glad that Venezuela has been liberated. No, they are not liberated. We should be very clear
now.
We should be very clear. Venezuela is not liberated. Liberation means, hey, the woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize, who was elected, she runs the country now, and we'll negotiate with her. That's not what Trump is saying. Trump is saying, we run shit. We'll put her in when we
actually he's not going to put her in. It sounded like he said she doesn't have enough support there. So I don't know. I would have to play that back, but it seemed like he wasn't really supporting her necessarily. Like he's just wanting new elections or what, I don't even know. And even that's going to be suspect. It's like when you are a puppet state, anything that happens is related to the puppet master, which would be us. So any elections, are they going to be free and fair, or is there, a thumb on the scale?
No, people are, I understand the confusion, but people are trying to pretend that we don't run Venezuela. They keep saying it's liberated. It's not liberated when Trump is saying if these people are puppets and they have no authority, we run the stuff. Like I don't understand. That's liberation. So just imagine Russia comes and then all of a sudden, have we been liberated from our government? No, they just run shit now. So I don't know. It's definitely liberated. Yeah, they're liberated from one dictator to us. So that's kind of what it is. I don't know. But let's move on from Venezuela, because this is me and Eric are going to talk about this for hours. I wanted to well, first I want to show you guys some stuff. This is how some of the lefties are calling this thing or billing it. Breaking: Trump bombs Venezuela, kidnaps Maduro. So Maduro's been kidnapped, which technically could be a good argument, but
he hasn't hit U.S. soil yet, so the arrest isn't here yet.
Yeah, well, he's been taken into custody.
He's on a boat on a ship, though. That's interesting. It's like
international waters.
You couldn't just fly him in.
Nate, it's only been a day. It takes time to transition power. Facts. True.
That's true.
But did you hear the press conference? Like, did you just hear what they said?
And he even said that he could control him forever.
Jacob,
that was your thing.
Yes, Jacob. I'm going to ask you one thing. If the new president, the person who they want to install, transition, says, I don't want to give you the oil, do you think we won't have a problem with that? Do you think everything will be okay? If she says, no, you're not coming to take any of the oil. No, you're not giving. No, we're going to work with China because we decided to work with China. Do you think that's going to be okay? Do you think they're going to be okay with that? Do you think it's just going to be like, all right, yeah, you're free? Come on. Let's not be obtuse here, right? She has no power unless she just does what Trump says. Or the United States.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's, now you judge whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's the truth. And if anybody out there don't think that's the truth, I'm looking at the comment section now. Tell me it's not the truth. So Trump bombs Venezuela. So, here's Cenk. Cenk is saying America invades Venezuela, captures President Maduro. Trump says we're going to run it. Yeah,
not completely inaccurate.
These ultra woke liberals, now they're even transitioning our governments. So now I know I've probably made all the Trump people, because I'm supposed to be, Trump good all the time. But I no. There's levels to this thing. And to be honest with you, I know my progressive people you're supposed to say Trump bad all the time. But like with every situation, this is more nuanced. I think the way it happened, good for Venezuela, good for the people to get out of that dictatorship. But this is a problem, people. And I hope people don't think that this is all over and we're all good, because essentially we've taken over a country for the oil. So, and to stop drugs to come into the United States. That should be fair to say that, right?
Again, I think we need to see what happens over the next weeks and months to get an idea of how this is going to go.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So I want to ask you guys. So because I have you guys here as a captive audience, I've lost like a whole bunch of people. I want to ask you guys, because again, I'm still
1776. Good number.
Going through my brain stuff. So there are a couple of stories that I want to cover, and so I wanted to ask you guys. I wanted to kind of preview them to you, because we're in the working phase, to see if you like. So one, it happens to deal with TYT and one of their correspondents, Dr. Rashad Ritchie, being a fake lawyer on YouTube. So that's one, and I'll show you all the documents that I have to prove that. And then the second one is how in Chicago, the mayor is raising property taxes on the Black and brown people that he tried not to that he said he's going to cut taxes for, and now there's all hell breaking loose in Chicago. And the third one is about the Somali fraud, but there's been so much
that
on
one's
that.
Covered. That's
covered.
Covered.
Like, I don't know what I'm going to add a couple more pieces to it, because I found like a couple of older news stories about, because they've been calling it, the local news has been calling out this fraud for decades, right? This fraud here, fraud at this daycare, fraud here. So, but I think that's been well covered. If I can add something to it, maybe I will. But
how about the angle on the Somali fraud? People have been writing who actually run daycares, saying how they're inspected 3 times a year. They're constantly being bothered by the state coming in. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? I would like to know, what are the inspection procedures in Minnesota? What are the records of inspecting the facilities? As a analogy, if people are poisoned to death in a restaurant and it's got the inspection A on the wall, would you not want to look into the inspector's office and say, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Is anybody looking into that? Because this is so obvious. If they're daycares with no children, how could they exist if there is a scheduled inspection principle?
Well, hold on. But are they in the same state? Because each state is different too.
Well, that's a question then. So do they inspect daycares in Minnesota?
They may or may not. I don't know.
And if they don't, why don't they? Again, another question.
You know what? I actually have a treat for you guys. So there was a I don't want to say a killing, and it was a killing. The poor young girl died. But let me see if I have it. I was this is when I was back in the cop days. So I was caught on local news, very embarrassingly too. So I'll play the news second. But it was a daycare, because we used to investigate daycare fraud, and there happened to be a murder, killing. One of the kids were killed in this daycare.
Oh, wow.
So they had us out there on news. Let me see if I can find my news segment when I was on there. It was long ago. So probably no, I can't find it. Shit. Well, Yeah, it was a news segment because in New York we do inspect daycares and we do all that stuff.
I think most states they do, Nate. It's not unheard of. People tend to get a little concerned about safety of children.
Yeah, I think the daycare thing. I think the Democrats unfortunately fucked up. Well, made a mistake, and I think their mistake was trying to make this into a race issue, rather than an issue on fraud, because that's what this is. This is a fraud issue. Oh, I found it. Here it is. I'll show you. You get to see me before brain surgery. let me show you guys how I look before brain surgery. So this was back. Yeah, this is when I was. It's a private video. So here it is.
Oh, look at you.
I know. I look so old. So here it is. Back in New York.
City wants to know if this tip about the illegal daycare here on Green Street had been properly vetted and if the city's procedures for finding unlicensed daycares is sufficient. Inspectors from the Department of Investigation canvassed the evidence near Soho childcare this
You should be looking inside. Looking. That's investigative work, people.
morning. They want to know what the New York City Department
I look fat as crap too. I need to lose some weight.
did and did not do when they received a tip in November 2014 that an illegal daycare center was being run from inside the second floor apartment. Can we please speak to you? The owner of the home daycare center opened the door briefly for News 4, but didn't answer our questions. In 2014, the health department says an inspector knocked on the door, but no one answered. The investigation into the illegal daycare.
Now, see, what we were investigating is sometimes you'll send an inspector out to do the inspection and they'll go do something else. So it's our job to see if the inspector actually did the inspection. And
That's what I was asking about Minnesota.
Yeah. And if we found they didn't do it, we would arrest them for the fraud of saying they're inspecting a daycare.
Well, yeah, they're getting money. They're paid by the city to do a job. If they're not doing it, that's fraud, right?
Pretty much so. So that's
or at least if they're claiming to do it and not doing it, that would be the fraud.
That would be the fraud. Yeah.
Sorry.
And you're a city employee, so it even gets even worse for that. That was what that was. And the woman was charged with, I think, running the illegal daycare and all this other stuff. So, but it happens a lot, and it happens all over the place. I'm going to start this out with talking. So let's transition to TYT. So let me pull this stuff up. So right now, guys, we've stopped talking about Trump. So we're going to talk about some future videos I'm going to doing. I'm going to start with the TYT video and the fake, the claim I'm making of a fake lawyer. Now it's funny because this project started maybe a couple of not even this Richard Ritchie project about whether he is actually a legitimate lawyer started maybe in September, July, in terms of me being on my radar, me just starting to look into it. But then I actually said, hold on. There seems to be a little bit more going on here. And I kind of put it to the side and just never got back to it. And then after this, I started getting a lot of messages saying, hey, check out Dr. Ritchie's qualifications. So I started researching it lightly. And then Cam James put out a video. And then so he kind of beat me to the punch, and then I was like, oh shoot, now I gotta redo all this stuff. So and it's funny because Cam gets some things wrong, and Richie obviously is lying about a lot of stuff. So I'll show you guys just kind of where I'm at now in terms of just the PowerPoint presentation. This is not all of the things that I've actually already done, but this is just like some of the PowerPoints that I've started. So you know what? Just to be clear. Here is the Richard Ritchie. I'm going to pull up. Just for context, I want to show people what he claims his resume is. And this is just for context. That's Richard Ritchie. Here is his law firm. This is called the Fairness Firm. And when you go down, we'll look at now in the title, he says he has a JD, which is a Juris Doctorate, PhD, LLM, and MBA. That's what he says, right? That's what he says. Here we go. We're going down. Education. He's got a JD from Renaissance University, from the University of Montreal, transferred through the beginning of the.
Have
He
you
doesn't-
archived this, by the way?
Yes,
Okay.
he has lied. He does not have. a
No,
lawyer
have you
at JD.
archived this page before it gets
Yes.
taken down? To
It's on whatever. What's the name of the
Internet Archive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, he's a doctor of education. He's a doctor of law. So not only does he have a law degree, which is a J. Juris Doctorate, he's also a doctor of law. He's a doctor of philosophy with religious studies. He also we're talking about he's a quantum physicist. He's just as good as Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neuroscience too.
Neuroscience, cognitive psychology. This guy, human rights.
This guy is the Renaissance man.
Yes, Master of Science in Neuroscience. So he's got his neuroscience degree. This guy, PhD, here it is, PhD in quantum physics. Lab support provided by Clark with current doctoral research. So he's in quantum physics, Harvard Law School. Now, Duke University, medical neuroscience.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to tell
Energy medicine.
So you're laughing.
Well, I know. Can you imagine typing this shit out with a straight face?
He typed it out with a straight face. It's
so ludicrous. Who could anybody who lands on this page? I don't even care if you're going to get into the bogus universities and all that stuff. Just this list. The possibility that somebody could even have this stuff is beyond any reason.
Well, you know what? You would essentially, looking at this, I automatically see the issue. The issue is this is what they call this resume inflation. I forgot there's like a technical name for it. Essentially, it's lying, right? It's fraud. But
inflation, though, that's kind of like, I managed this place, or this building, and you really, were like at the door. That's an inflation. This is like a nuclear level of bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, this gets into parody territory.
It's so bad. It's so bad that some of these schools don't even exist. Some of these schools don't even have the programs that they say.
Well, a doctor of law. What that's not even a thing.
It is. Depends on where you're at. So
Arizona? Oh no, Azteca.
Azteca University. So what people don't understand is that, and that's what I'll get into the law degree. But I think it'll be best. So let's start. Let me do this. Let me start off with Cam's video, because I think Cam does the best. Well, he does a good job, but he misses a lot, and there's a lot that he doesn't know. But it's fun because I don't think he's like, I've taught at a law school. I've helped students get admitted to a law school. I was a professor in a law school. My degrees are right up here. My Juris Doctorate from an accredited law school, AVA approved, and my license to practice law. And you can just type my name into any database and you can see.
But yeah, that's a law degree.
Yeah. But I don't have 20 degrees like this guy. I just have one.
Yeah.
Well, I have, I think, three or four.
What, you have two BA, an AA, two BAs, and a law degree. It's
and
nothing,
a law degree. That's it. Yeah.
And half of each of the BAs are supporting the other BA, correct?
Correct.
So I mean,
so it would actually be better to call it a dual major bachelor's instead of saying I have two bachelors.
Yeah, which is fine.
That's what I would say.
And the AA is en route to the bachelor, so it's so like these roll up together.
Yes. You need the AA to get the BA to get this. So this is Richie. So now I'm gonna put this is Cam James. Now I said I was going to show. Now I'm going to do a more detailed video, but this is again, because I'm explaining to you guys what I'm thinking about doing. This is the video. This is where I'm going with the video. Now I'm going to be focusing more on the JD claim in my video, but Cam goes into it.
Deep dives, I presented the top 5 red flags that lets you know someone is a FUBU scammer, a term I coined 2 years ago to describe Black people using their culture and identity to run manipulative schemes on people who look like them. Sometimes what they're doing is illegal. Sometimes it isn't. In that video and in the deep dives episode I made about him, I called out former preacher and MLM consultant, Dr. Myron Golden.
Yeah, he's calling out all the fakes, but now he's going to go to, where's our boy at? I'm going to move on.
It's Johnny Obama, and claims that he invented a patent, just name a few. There was at least an active youth PhD in him.
All right.
This time, I'm talking about Rashad Ritchie, JD, PhD, EDD, MBA, and LLM. Progressive YouTube commentator, working with the Young Turks via his show Indisputable. President and chief editor at large for Rolling Out, one of the most prominent culture and media brands out of Atlanta. Director and professor of business at Morris Brown College, department chair at Beulah Heights University, senior advisor at the Carter Center, and professor of physics at Paris Graduate School, just name a few. There was at least one fake school in that sentence. He was awarded the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award by President Obama and claims that he invented a patented device that can cure Alzheimer's disease, beating an MIT research team to the punch. Some of y'all have already noticed some problems.
Now, if that was all legit, I would say great, right? Great. I would say that's unbelievable. But it's pretty much.
No, you're right. It is unbelievable.
Let me give you the list. So, all right. So I'll share this screen because I've been doing it here. So I went to ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT to give me kind of like I've added all the stuff and I was saying, okay, here's a summary of give me the summary of all the degrees. So I went now to show you the level of how crazy I get with this thing sometimes. So before I did that, put it on ChatGPT, I went to all of these different places. I looked at, let me do this so you guys can see it. Sideshow. So I went to Johnny Walker Dredd and looked at his videos. I went to Straight Arrow News and looked at his bio. I went to the law firm, as you just saw. I went to TYT. I read his work. This is one of his dissertations to its National Journal of Science. I went to the school's websites. I was like, all right, let me see if these schools are legit. And some of these schools are the whole, hey, if you give us a little love, which most people know love is cash, we can give you that nice degree. So, like for instance, with this school in particular, I'll show you I'm going to show the buildings, but this is one of the schools. This is, matter of fact, this is a school he got his doctorate from, I think. Yeah. This is where he became a doctor of law. And he says he got a Juris Doctorate from this school too, which is obvious a lot. I even read this paper because he has a couple of dissertations out there. I've read this. So I'm like, I'm in it. And I'm like looking through everything. And that's why you see and I'm looking through everything because, and I'm just going to be honest. I told Eric this. I said, you know what? It's sometimes when you're Black and you have accomplished something, you'll have a lot of people, oh, you're not really this, you're not really this, you're not really this. And it's not really because you didn't do the work, but because people just kind of assume, it's kind of like, hey, I assume these people are just not educated. So I'm always concerned whether when I first heard this particular rumor about Richie, whether it was, people just being pretentious or just trolling online. But I'm going to say it. He's essentially just nothing but BS. Nothing but BS. And I think this encapsulates it to the nth degree. Oops, this went back to this. This encapsulates it. So here are the schools that I was able to verify. Clark University. Now I haven't even finished contacting them yet. So this is all tentative. So he says these are the ones that we were able to find out that were real. We went to the website and all that stuff. So this is Clark University, right? Found out, yes, it's real. He says he got his degree from there. He has a whole thing. Okay.
It's accredited.
Yes, and it's accredited. Fine, legitimate accredited. Beluga, yes, it's not really accredited, but it's good enough, right? Good enough. He got it, right? Now, all these are allegedly. He got his BA in religious studies, and then he got his MBA. So these are the three I could say, you know what? I'm not going to give him any problem with these. So what? If they're good, they're good. They're not. Who cares? They said you went to the school. You went to school. They're the United States. You can kind of find it out. These are the ones. So now on some of his profiles, he has this Schofield Graduate Center, PhD in politics and religion. He uses it sometimes, but this isn't an accredited school. So what I mean by accredited, I can make this room into a school and have people sit in the back and give them degrees and have them do all that, right? The accreditation is what makes that piece of paper real and makes that piece of paper valuable. So this is a school that piece of paper is
Well, a
not
lot of
really
it, Nate, can be determined. Can you take a class from that school and then have it applied to another university? That's what a lot of the accreditation is. Right?
Yes.
It's
Because
transferable credits, and
it's a stand. We know that you've taught this to this particular standard. So this was this one was it's not credible. And so he said he had a PhD. So I'm not seeing any other evidence.
Just do a quick scroll. Just do a quick scroll. Look at this.
These are the questionable and unverifiable.
I know, and look how long this list is, dude. I mean,
This was the university. This is the one we just saw from Haiti. This is the LLM, and he says he has a JD, which is a lie. Azteca University, he says he got the law degree, but that school exists, but it doesn't look like I'm not too sure if you get a law degree from an unaccredited school and say you're a lawyer in the United States, that doesn't work. The Business University of Costa Rica, the Paris Graduate School, the University of Pacific, and so these are all unverified. It's just like it could be, it may be, and who really knows? And these are the ones that are just like I just couldn't. This Renaissance University from Haiti, Nigeria, India. I don't know. I can't find it. This one, MSc in cognitive psychology, not recognized, no valid program.
what is an MSc?
That's a master's in something. I think it's
Masters of Science, but that would just be MS, right?
Yeah, but the C stands for something, so I'm not sure what the C. But you can just I can just see MSc. Stands for
It's so ludicrous.
I forgot what the C stands for. MSc. Yeah, it just stands for Master of Science.
Okay.
So.
Which is MS too, I thought.
It is MS. Oh. That's what the
MIT open courseware.
Yes. Oh, I haven't even finished. So
that sounds like Lex Friedman's, a little bit.
Now I want people to understand these fake, not legitimate as presented. What these are so if you look at like his LinkedIn, now I've show you how crazy I go with this. I went to the Wayback Machine and looked at because people have been doing this and looking back. So I was going to the Wayback Machine and looking and going to those old videos and looking. These are the things that he put on his resume before. And then when people started calling them out, disappear like a fart in the wind.
Okay.
So this one, he's kind of still claiming it, but it's a fake school. This Renaissance is fake. This one, he dropped off of it, right? This MS in cognitive psychology, there's no longer on his resume that I see. School does not. This school doesn't even offer a neuroscience because he said he got a master of neuroscience. It doesn't even offer that program. Neurophysics. But so he dropped that one off. He cites MIT open courseware, which is you just go online and press play on the class, and after you press play on the 40 classes and watch the videos, they give you a certificate. So that's what he got. So that's what that is. He still cites that.
The fact is, okay, there's so many red flags in this, Nate.
And
the fact you would even claim that if you have a PhD, you would never claim a certification because it's so far below you that it's just something you have. Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
How many little certifications have you had to take? Like officer training as a cop and this. Do you display them all? No.
I'm a certified handcuff instructor. I'm a certified.
There you go.
I've got so many. I'm certified at CPR first. And I'm certified. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And you don't list them all. But again, this guy, he listed it. He has a master's in neuroscience, right? That he dropped. These are ones that he dropped off. This MIT one, MIT explicitly says no degree, no credit. That he has this aeronautical degree, not recognized degree by that name. So I don't know. We got this aeronautical physics. And then this other one, New Exposed, self-created university. So ballpark and tonal, he's claimed five doctor's degrees, 5 to 6 masters, depending on 2 bachelors, or JD, which you can add to the doctors, and 5+ certificate program, 20 credentials. And we can only verify 3 as real. But one of the things about this is that if you take just an average amount of time and being as liberal as possible, in other words, giving as much credit to Dr. Ritchie as possible, to say, okay, how long would it take somebody to get 5 doctorate degrees,
Thank you.
or 5 or 6 this, and two
And how old is he?
Yes. It would take you about 30 years. 30 years to get all of these, if these were actual, because a lot, and also you have to also understand too, a lot of the doctoral degrees don't allow you to do 2 or 3 at a time.
No, and they're varied. I mean, you're talking cognitive science and quantum physics are not exactly parallel paths here. They're very different things. So you've got the law, science, psychology. I mean, good God, it's like he just went and picked from a menu of every, oh, this sounds good, this sounds good, this sounds good, this sounds good.
Yeah. I essentially that is what he did. That from my research, looking into this as deeply as I have, essentially that's what he did, and that's what Cam exposed. Now I was looking at it because my whole thing is I was going to go after like the TYT and the Straight Arrow Newses, because I'm like, hold on, you guys are supposed to be the fact-based fact checkers, this, and you have these people with obviously fake credentials who and you're promoting them as they're real, but they're not. And, you should change this stuff up. So that was like my angle to it. But but Cam just kind of went in on Ritchie, and I think he does a good job. So I want to watch a part of his video, which I think addresses exactly what
Dude, I'm gonna have to step away for a.
Oh, cool. No problem.
So,
thanks for
that.
Thanks for stopping by, though, man. I really appreciate it.
Always.
And I'm probably gonna be here for another 10, 20 minutes, just letting everybody know what I'm gonna be up to in the future, and then we'll be out. So listen, man, Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll be talking to you probably in a couple of hours.
All right, sounds good, man. Thank you, brother. Everybody. Bye-bye.
Later, Eric. Don't forget to sub to Eric's channel. He's gonna be. It's in the description and the pinned comment. All right, so I'm not pinned comment in the description. So Cam
fighting the good fight, right? That should exempt them from being called out for blatant lies. I'm debating some of the worst conservatives in the world, like Rob Smith in that clip, as well as many white far-right conservatives. I think talk show debates are pointless clout chasing because nobody cites their sources. But I digress. He's fighting the good fight, right? That should exempt him from being called out for blatant lies, right? Hell no. And the rest of this video exists to do just that. This one's for everybody claiming I only attack a certain type of person.
It's funny that he's got the same issue that I have, right? Like, it's funny because I've attacked Trump on his channel. Matter of fact, I just attacked, what's his name? The border czar, right? I have stories about white judges pulling drive-by shootings. I have stories about white mayors, super mayors. I have stories about Hispanic, Asian, like I go the whole gauntlet of race. But now I'm considered racist against Black people because I also cover Black people. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm covering everybody. Just look at the channel. Yeah, there are a lot more interesting Black. I think there are more Black stories because they're just more interesting, right? Like there were a couple more stories that are just fascinating, and it was kind of the time in which it was. But I have Muslims who are doing crazy stuff. I just did one about Michigan voting stuff too. So it's. But I think what happens is people are so defensive and want me to say all Black people are good, all white people are evil, and just to be that. But that's not me. I'm only going to give you the truth. And if you like it or not, that's on you. I don't care if you sub or you don't. I'm just going to give it to you like it is. And either you take it or you go find someone else who'll give you what you want to hear. If that's BS, there are a lot of people out there who'll give you BS. So, but let me continue on with this.
We got to call out our own. We need to establish what he's claimed to have and confirm it's him behind those on the Young Turks talent site and his bio on the Fairness Firm site. That last one was a firm he created, which has a much longer name on paper. International Law Group of Human and Civil Rights Attorneys, PC. I said was because the firm was administratively dissolved this September, according to the Georgia State Department. That's what happens when you don't pay your bills. He's listed as a CFO on this page. The bio calls him a managing partner, and he doesn't even practice law since he hasn't passed the bar at time of publication. That JD isn't real either, but we'll get to that.
Now, this is where I want to talk about now, the JD not being real. I want to, and this is the part that I'm struggling with the video. So when it comes to the JD, Richie's claiming that he has a JD and it's legit, and that Cam is incorrect. So Cam
says on LinkedIn, English may not be page established with excellent
it's
to put
Cam
JD
analysis
after
of the
doctor game.
JD.
You don't get to erase lies and get away with it. Let's start with this Juris Doctor degree in law. It's the degree that qualifies you to put JD after your name. Renaissance University is a real institution based in Ogboka, Nigeria. I hope that's the one he's talking about, because the other one is in Indore, India. And that one doesn't offer a JD. Only Master of Laws.
Now, this is where Cam is wrong. All right, so this is where Cam is wrong. And I think he's wrong because you have to kind of be in the law. So in the law, you have a JD and you have LLMs and all these other stuff, right? Masters of Law, Bachelors of Law. That's what the LLM is, Master of Law. LLB is a Bachelor of Law, and you have LLD, which are Doctors of Law. That's used internationally. Here in the United States, we do have LLM programs and stuff like that, but generally you're talking about JD program. So in this particular instance, if you're a foreign lawyer, right? Let's say I got an LLB or LLM, or if I'm a lawyer in Haiti or Nigeria, as Richie says, he's got his whatever from, right? He's a lawyer from Nigeria. Well, if you come to the United States, you have to then, depending on jurisdiction, like in New York, you have to take a course to make sure, and they'll have to make sure that what you learned in your law school lines up with what we learned in our law school and stuff like that before they allow you to take the bar. And your license or your degree from that law school, wherever it was at, is not a JD, because you do not have to have a Juris Doctorate to sit for the bar. A famous example is Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian has not graduated law school, does not have a Juris Doctorate, but she just sat for the bar and failed pretty prominently. And that's because there are a couple of different ways you can sit for the bar. One is if you become like an assistant to an attorney for a couple of years, they teach you, and then under that apprenticeship program, you can sit for the bar in some states. The second way is that some states have state-only law schools, like Alabama have state-only law schools where if I pass that law school in Alabama, I can only take the Alabama bar. I can't take the bar anywhere else. And then the last is you have an ABA accredited law school, like that one up there on my wall. It's an ABA accredited law school, and if you pass that and get that JD, you could take it. You could take it everywhere in the United States. Now, if you're a foreign attorney, there are rules that each of those jurisdictions have that say essentially you have to take another course. We have to evaluate what you learned, and then, and only then, will allow you. But that doesn't mean you have a Juris Doctorate, you have a JD. That just means we'll let you sit for the bar. Now, what Richie says is that because he's got this LLB and LLM, that's equivalent to a JD, and that's what allows him to call himself a Juris Doctorate, which it does not. He is lying, and he knows he is lying. Just because you've got an LLB from Nigeria doesn't mean you're a Juris Doctor in the United States. I hope I explained that well, because I know that was a lot. I probably lost a whole bunch of people with that explanation, but that's what Cam doesn't know. So it's possible he can say, I got my LLM from this school, wherever the school is at.
Degrees
India, I believe.
or LL.
I got my LLM in India, and then I came to the United States, took the courses they told me to take, and do all this other stuff they told me to take, and now able to practice here in the United States. But that doesn't mean I have a JD, but it's possible he could be talking about that. So, but again, unless you're in this world, Cam wouldn't know this. So I understand why the confusion.
LLMs. The one in Nigeria has a Faculty of Law graduate program, although the first sentence on their graduate program's page says, quote, Renaissance University, RNU, is an institution established with excellence as goal, end quote. English may not be their first language, but it's not looking great. Rashad, you didn't enroll in some degree completion program with transferred credits, as you claimed in this typo-filled article you wrote on your own radio show's site. It wasn't online either, because this is a college proudly bragging about having 300 plus computers. Not a shot at them. It's a shot at you for telling that lie in the first place. You don't have a real JD, at least not from them. This Master of Laws degree he claims to have from Université de la Renaissance d'Haïti. He says on LinkedIn, while explaining how this degree isn't a scam, a perfectly normal thing everyone does on LinkedIn, while listing it under the Birmingham School of Law.
Now, essentially, I played that because I wanted to show you that Cam didn't understand how Richie is using the LLM to say he has a JD. He's kind of treating them as two different things, but it essentially is the same. Is the same thing. It's using the LLM to claim I have the JD. So essentially, he's saying I graduated from this university. Now, so I'm going to contrast that with Rashad Richie, and his claims, because I think that's the piece of it where I think it kind of puts it all together. I should have had this already. I didn't think I was going to do this, and I hope you guys are enjoying this, because I'm sitting here going over like my future videos, what I plan on doing in the next. Well, this video I was planning on putting out maybe today or tomorrow, but I will. I'll think about it, because I want to make sure with a video like this, you want to make sure you have everything right. You know, I don't want to I don't want to disparage anybody or anything like that unless I can absolutely prove it. And I think in a lot of these cases, especially with Dr. Richie, doctor, and I say that lightly, it's very possible. So here is now. Remember, I've just told you, Dr. Richie does not have a Juris Doctorate. Dr. Richie, as of right now, based on what he's saying, cannot sit for the bar exam in any state as of right now, right? As of right now. And that the rules that he's going to cite don't exist. So he's going to actively lie to you. And I want to make sure that when I play this, you understand a lot of the things that he's saying are just going to be straight up lies. So you don't get confused. So here it is.
You know, just to note, having one doctoral degree actually qualifies you as a scholar, by the way. Just one of them does. Professional licensure. Yes, I have a law degree. Put it up, full mass. My law degree does, in fact, qualify me to take the bar in the United States of America.
Now, let's see. Because if he says I graduated from an ABA-approved law school, yes, you can sit for the bar exam. Now, if he says I graduated from a foreign law school, the degree itself doesn't allow you. It's just one part of the process.
What you're looking at is called a course-by-course evaluation. You see, the law degree journey was a long journey for me because I was in a PhD in quantum physics program at the same time I was in law school. Mm-hmm. The course-by-course evaluation.
Now, does anybody think, I want to ask, I do want to ask, does anybody think he was in the PhD and law program at the same time? Does anybody think that? Is that like something like, does anybody buy that he was in both at the same time? Now, it's possible. Quantum physics, law, and taking them at the same time. It's essentially full time. Oh, here it is. I have a JD in 2 LLMs, still been with foreign LLM candidates, and before you can take a state bar exam with an LM, you have to sit as long as you're an attorney where you can get the primary law degree sometimes. Yes, before you can take a state bar exam with an LLM, you can sit as long as you're an attorney where you get your primary law degree from sometimes, but some states. But with a law degree here, to take to take the state bar, you need to follow their rules, and their rules are and again, every state is different because some states are a little loose. Like California's a little bit more loose. New York's a little bit more loose with foreign lawyers because a lot of foreign lawyers work in New York. Where let's say a state like Georgia, where Richie's from, is not. They're very, very strict. And I'll pull up the rules if you want to see them. But I was going to pull them up in the video.
That you're looking at, let's read it top to bottom. This is by a NACIS member again, which qualifies me for the professional licensure in order to qualify for the bar exam under what's called the FLE or FCE rule. That is a foreign credential evaluation rule.
Now, just so we're being clear, the way this works, again, I'm a lawyer from, again, I think he's saying it's from Haiti now. He's saying it's from Haiti, but I'm a lawyer from Haiti, and I want to come practice in the United States. So what I do is I'll go and say, hey, I want to practice. So I'll then give my transcript to this company. And this company then evaluates and says, okay, you took these classes, and what classes or courses you translate to what? What degrees translate to what here? And then it gives you an evaluation. Okay, so your bachelor's in law would be equivalent to a Juris Doctorate here. Your bachelor's in this would be equivalent to this here. So that's what this is. It'll be, this is equivalent to this, but that does not mean you have that thing, right? So just because it says, hey, it's equivalent, your master's in law is equivalent to a Juris Doctorate, that does not mean you have a Juris Doctorate. You have a master's, you have an LLM. So that's the confusion. So what he's done is saying, well, this means I have a Juris Doctorate. It does not. It means you have a master's of law, and you're not a Juris Doctor. You're not a doctor of law. Unfortunately, that's the way it works. But the confusion is he's going to make that leap. He's going to say, just because these people said my law degree from Haiti would be the same as a Juris Doctorate from here, that means I have a Juris Doctorate from here. And again, the place that he cites too has also, they have issues, but if I go into that, it's going to be too long.
State of California, New York, everybody has it.
Not everybody, but
course by course evaluation, professional licensure. It says, summary of evaluation. It is the judgment of A to Z evaluations. Once again, a NACIS approved entity for evaluation of professional license.
Speed this up.
That Mr. Rashad Ritchie's educational credentials from Haiti is equivalent to the degree of Doctor of Jurisprudence, JD, awarded by a regionally accredited institution of higher education in the United States. You can go down to the bottom. It says equivalency, U.S. degree, Doctor of Jurisprudence. I completed my Doctor of Jurisprudence at Renaissance University through their law program.
You see? So the leap that he's just made, right? The leap that he's just made is saying, because this firm says, hey, the degree, right? It could be the degree of sitting on the toilet taking shits. Hey, that degree of having shits is equivalent to a JD. That means I can go around saying I have a JD. Yeah, I have a JD, right? Even though my degree is, I'm a doctor of taking shits, but I have a Juris Doctorate. No. You have what you have from that school, the School of Renaissance. Now, it's important to note, why am I confident he doesn't have a JD if he went to the School of Renaissance? And that's because that school is not accredited with the ABA. And that school doesn't even offer Juris Doctorate. So how did you attain a JD from a school that doesn't issue JDs? Let me see. Oh, thank you. So that's where he said he got it from.
They have a law partnership with the Faculty of Law at the University of Montreal. We'll get into that in just a moment.
Okay.
Now, this is from the National Private Investigation and Intelligence firm that specializes in credential evaluation. This is about my master's in neuroscience. Yep, I took a 1-year program in neuroscience, a 40 credit program. University de la Renaissance. This is the law one first. The University de la Renaissance University has a legal sciences program, was founded in 1991, according to the report, and has a cooperative agreement with the Faculty of Law at the University of Montreal. Ranked the best francophone law school in the world. Notable alumni like Pierre Elliott Trudeau, 15th Prime Minister of Canada, Philip Kirsch, first president of the International Criminal Court, and Judge Jules Deschenez, judge of the United Nations Criminal Tribunal, graduated from UM. That source comes from the University of Montreal Notable Alumni Wikipedia. NPII confirmed that Richie, Doctor of Jurisprudence degree, is from the accredited university and is considered a qualifying law degree. Our investigators also reviewed the NACES or the National.
Now, I want to make it very clear. They're investigators. Let's look at the school their investigators said they went to verify this degree, right? Let's look at the school. We got to look at the school. It's so wild. Let's look at the school. We got to look at the school. Who is it? The School of the Resistance. So let's pull that up so you guys can see why I'm laughing. It's funny. I'm sorry. It's not funny. It's kind of sad, to be honest with you. It's kind of sad, but I'll pull it up. So here is the school. Share this tab. There it is. That's the school, right? You know, I don't want to be sound any way, but let's look at here is their. That's the building. That's the school building. That's where he got his law degree from. And I also audio. Shit, it's lost connection with audio. 1 second. Test. I have to restart this. Let's see. Your browser has lost connection with the audio. Okay. All right. No. I don't have to restart the browser. All right. That's if I want to play a video. Sorry. So that's the school building. The school building. And this is where he is, right? This is the school building. Now, this school does not offer a Juris Doctorate. It just doesn't. It doesn't offer a JD. So and you can go to the ABA's website and look to see if the school's listed, which it is not, because I've looked. Yeah, this is the school. Looks great. It's a great school, and no shade to the people in Haiti and the good people in Haiti, but it's just cool. Not accredited. I don't know. It may be accredited. I don't know. I think I looked at it. It wasn't accredited, but I'll fact check that real quick. So, school that doesn't offer a JD, he got a JD from, and it's so crazy because it's the way he tries to manipulate the audience. It's so great. Think about it, people. Let's kind of go back to what Richie's saying. So Richie initially said, right? I'm going back to Richie's video. Richie initially admits he doesn't have that his degree is equivalent to a JD. It's not a JD. But then he concludes he has a JD, right? My degree is equivalent to I have a JD, which instead of saying, hey, I've taken a course and stuff. And then when you look at the school, you can see what I'm talking about, right? You see what I'm talking about. Oh, this is off. I gotta restart this browser. Sorry. So I gotta restart. No, I gotta restart this browser. But that's essentially the Richie angle, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more. But he does not have. And the one thing I didn't even mention is that the law that they teach in Haiti is a different type of law than we have in the United States. So honorary, but then if it's honorary, you can't take the bar. So that's this is it is kind of crazy, but that's kind of what we got here with Richie. So that's the Rashard Richie thing, and I've been as going through it, I do feel bad because I've watched Richie stuff and I do like Richie, but I think he's at this point in time I think he's just another fraud that's just out there and just claiming, and I understand the pride factor and all this other stuff, but just tell people the truth, bro. And we haven't even talked about the ones that he took off, right? Does anybody really think that Rashard Richie is a neuroscientist? Does anybody believe that he has a PhD? He's Neil deGrasse Tyson. Richie is Neil deGrasse Tyson on top of his law degree from Haiti. That someone said would be equivalent to taking a bar exam. Oh no, be equivalent to a JD, but it's not a JD. But yet he says he has a JD. I don't know. Nate looks like yeah. Unfortunately, I did. Sad. So with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. But that's the video I'm planning on finishing up. And it's been a lot of time because I want to call some of the places, and then I want to also give some of the places who I'm going to mention that he works for, just the opportunity to respond to the findings and just say, hey, listen, this is what I found, this is where I'm going. He's representing himself as an attorney, and he's not. Well, he's representing himself as a lawyer or someone. Let me be more specific. He's representing himself as someone who's obtained a Juris Doctorate, and he does not. And he does not have one. He has not obtained a Juris Doctorate, and he's lying. He's also holding himself as going to these particular schools, and he has not. He's holding himself to have these degrees, which he does not. He's lying about a whole bunch of different stuff. Now, some of the stuff on his resume is real, but when the majority of the stuff on your resume is real, then the people who've hired you and the people who will put him in front of us, the public, as a newsworthy source, a source of trust, right? We can trust this person's not only expertise, but the fact that we've done our due diligence. Then I got to ask you, then how the hell did this get through? This reminds me of the case of the guy in Iowa. Remember the illegal alien they found in Iowa? That he was the head of the school district, the largest school district in Iowa, and then they went through his resume and found out like a whole bunch of stuff on his resume was fake. That's this. This is the exact same story, right? It's the exact same story. He was calling himself doctor too, and people are like, "Well, we can't find out half the stuff on the resume is fake." So I feel bad that it has to come to this, but I think Cam Jordan, even though politically I'm not aligned with Cam, but it's like saying I'm politically aligned with Black Conservative. I'm not politically aligned with Black Conservative perspectives. I'm not really aligned with Cam. I'm kind of in that middle space where I think both sides are full of nonsense and garbage and BS, and who can trust them? And now CYT's head, the guy who running one of their flagship shows, are essentially lying about most of his credentials. So they have to. He's the Frank Abagnale. Catch me if you can. Well, he's caught. He's made a defense, and you guys should watch his video for his defense, and watch him try to explain that. You know what I'm saying? It's laughable. And I would also suggest people go read his papers. You can say easy to find. You just look, Dr. Richie's papers or whatever, and just read them, and you'll see what I'm talking about. it's the same thing issue we had with Boozy, right? No, but I remember there's one reporter we were talking to. We are like, hey, you guys said this guy's an expert, and you quote this report. I said, did you even read the report? It's like, yeah, I read a very good report. I said, you know, the report was 6 pages, like 4 of those pages were just pictures. And she's like, I didn't know that. She's like, I was like, is this the report you read? And I got to get back to you, because she hadn't even read the report. And I think a lot of these people, his dissertation is 9 pages, people. His physics paper has no math. It's like it's that bad. But you have these people on the right too who have these same issues. So it's not a political thing. It's just about, you know, when you find something like this, make sure people are in the know. If you love this guy, you don't, that's fine with me. But understand what you're dealing with. You're dealing with someone who went to that school, said they got a Juris Doctorate, and they're able to essentially, and they're running a law firm. He does not have a Juris Doctorate. He knows that. But it's easier to lie to you than it's to lie to any lawyer. And I don't want you to trust me. Ask any other lawyer. If Dr. Rashard Ritchie, under those circumstances, has a Juris Doctorate, because that agency that has issues said it was the degree he got from that Haitian law school was equivalent. So with that being said, I will see you guys later. I'm going to go get some rest and hopefully do some more research on what's been going on in the world, because it seems like everything's breaking down. So don't forget, like, share, subscribe. I'm not even going to say all that stuff. Like, subscribe. Why? I'm tired. And I like this because it allows me to kind of just talk things out. Because when you're doing these type of videos, sometimes it's hard to kind of map things out, especially now because of the issues that I've been having with the surgery. So it's hard for me to multitask and bring things together like I did before, because before this video would have been a 5-second video. Here's his lies, here's this is done. But now it's just hard because there's a lot of connections that I want to make. And then I want to just do my due diligence, right? I want to call the school. I want to call this. I want to reach out to somebody. I want to have somebody, hey, can you go down to this place if you can? What's the case? I know there was one place I called where it was a fee for a degree, in terms of, hey, if you want to pay some money, that's really all it takes. But I'll get all that with the longer video. So with that being said, thanks guys for watching. You got a lot more today than I expected, but I'm so glad to have the 1,000 US souls who joined me, and I'll be speaking to you later. Peace.